Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Large Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Kirai. It's the best show not on television, and we're here for another edition of the Large Guys Fight Bytes. This time we're talking Money in the Bank predictions. And once again, we are joined by our special guest, Vikram Prashar. Vikram, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me again. I was really excited and I really enjoyed being on for Hell in a Cell, so I'm really happy to be back to discuss Money in the Bank.
Definitely. And I'm glad this time because I remember I forgot to ask you exactly how to pronounce your last name. I
Oh,
kind
yeah, no
of stumbled
problem.
over it last time, but now nice and easy. We got it all good to go. But I guess before we hop into the specific matches, we are getting fans back for the first time in WWE. It's already been very exciting with AEW having live crowds for, I think, maybe 3-4 weeks now. It's been, the AEW shows have already been good, right? But you add a crowd in, especially a crowd that's hot and that wants to be there, watching a product that, they're totally into. It's made the shows even better. And now we get to see that for WWE starting this Friday with SmackDown in Fort Worth, which is just maybe like 30 minutes from here. I'm actually going to be in San Diego. I'm leaving tomorrow, so I won't be in town for that. But I'm
it
sure
happens.
I know, yeah. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. And then we have Money in the Bank. We have the first Raw in Houston, and then, or I think the first Raw is in Dallas. I don't know, whichever. But the first Raw with fans, and there's speculation that John Cena might be returning.
I hope so.
I hope
I
so,
really
too. I
hope
think.
so.
Do you think he's better? Well, probably on SmackDown for Roman, right? That would make the most sense.
Honestly, that's what's most likely going to happen. But I think Bobby Lashley's title reign needs it more than Roman Reigns' title reign does. Not to say Bobby's reign isn't good, because I've enjoyed it. I think Bobby's been a great champion.
Yes.
It's just Roman Reigns is like on a hot streak right now, so I think he doesn't need to fight Cena as much as Lashley would need to.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I think honestly, if they really want to just pop the crowd, have him show up to both shows. It's not like he's necessarily on a roster either. So
you know what I would love, which there's no way they do this, John Cena versus Mustafa Ali. Because me and you discussed Mustafa Ali on the last episode. Imagine the promos between those two guys.
Oh my
And John Cena steps in. And I'm a huge John Cena fan. So what I'm about to say, I do not agree with. I just think it'd be a good way for Ali to get some cheap heat.
Mm-hmm.
If he came in, cut a promo on Cena and be like, this is exactly what's wrong with this company. They invested all their time into you. You went Hollywood. And as soon as you came back, they invest their time into you again. And you can easily just start it from there. It remind me of Punk and Cena in a way, because Ali's promos remind me of CM Punk's.
Definitely. Yeah. And of course, you could easily bring up the fact that he gave Rock a hard time and then ended up becoming what Rock is too. So, I mean, yeah, definitely easy material there for Ali for sure. But yeah, I'm very excited. The shows in the Thunderdome, I think after a while you just get tired of the Thunderdome. It's
absolutely
no knock on them. They did everything they could. What
they did
else?
everything they could, absolutely, and they innovated, and it's great on them. And it's no fault of their own. They can't control the pandemic, right?
Exactly.
Now as soon as they're able to get crowds back, we got them back. So kudos to WWE, kudos to AEW, all the promotions that kept running shows throughout the pandemic. Thank you. Thank you all.
Definitely. Yeah. I think they utilize it to the best of their ability, even like with the matches, like the Falls Count Anywhere match with Roman and KO. They were one thing you don't necessarily get to see a lot is fighting in the stands with the fans.
Yeah.
They found a way to make it look cool. They even use it as a spot, throwing KO off of it. I think they definitely use their environment, not to where it was too much, because obviously if you're constantly destroying the Thunderdome, then it's kind of
it'll get repetitive, won't feel
exactly.
special.
But I think they actually used it enough, and we saw it on Raw with Ricochet
the perfect amount,
and Morrison. I think they use it just enough to where it wasn't too much, and they sprinkle it in every few months.
And I'm super excited because I'll just say with AEW's shows and like the surprise you got with Malachi Black, apparently there's a couple more surprises to come. And then I'm sure I've heard Vince McMahon has some surprises coming our way.
Exactly.
I just want to say, everybody who's maybe fallen out of wrestling a little bit, just always keep in mind, no matter how much you either hate on either man, both Vince McMahon and Tony Khan, both of them are geniuses. And they weren't going to have these surprises happen a couple weeks before crowds come back. No, they were waiting for crowds to come back. We saw that on AEW. Tony Khan was smart enough to have Malachi Black debut in front of fans. Vince is a genius as well. He's going to have something awesome either on SmackDown, Money in the Bank, Raw, or maybe all three. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be starting with tonight because apparently there's, from what I saw on Twitter, apparently the reveal tonight is supposed to be bigger than Andrade and Malachi Black. So now I'm wondering who possibly can it be. Of course, then you get the CM Punk gifts, and
it'd be awesome.
This is finally it.
I'm never getting my hopes up for a CM Punk return again because and this is no fault of AEW. This is a fault of my own for believing it. But All Out 2019, when Jericho won the title, I was just waiting for Punk to attack him after because of all the rumors, and he was at StarCast that year.
That's right.
So but once again, that's no fault of AEW. I was one of those dumb fans that put it in my own head. I'm not doing that anymore.
Definitely, yeah. Same. As much as I would love to see CM Punk, I'm pretty sure realistically he enjoys his life right now too. He doesn't need to ever come back. He's made his money. He has his legacy.
He's accomplished enough.
Yeah, and he's having fun watching hockey games.
I would love to see him come back, but he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, and I think even the little taste we got of him on that backstage show, he didn't even need to do that. I think that was just the offer was there, and he thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately it got cut. The show did, but I think he, if anything, I don't know if he comes back to wrestle, but maybe as like an analyst type, commentator type, that might be something he'd be interested.
Even as a booker, that'd be very interesting to see what he did.
Wow,
yeah.
Yes, actually that might be the best
yeah thing. That would be awesome. Like, imagine CM Punk has his own promotion. That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy, and everybody would want to wrestle there.
100%.
All right, so we're gonna hop into the card. Some of these matches are a little bit more intriguing than others, I would say. But I think overall, this is going to be a big-time pay-per-view. I think this is a very important pay-per-view for WWE. We've kind of seen a bit of a reset. I think more so on Raw. Well, I think SmackDown too. But you've kind of seen a bit of a shift. It seems like the writing has had a bit of a shift. Obviously, we're getting some new call-ups from NXT, and we're going to get a draft. And I think after SummerSlam. So it does seem like they're kind of resetting, trying to start a little fresh, especially because we have the fans. So I think this is a very important pay-per-view for WWE in terms of like, it's a little bit make or break of like, all right, we've seen what obviously there's always going to be constant comparison between them and AEW, but we've seen the quote unquote, direct competition making their moves. Now, what are you going to do? So I think it's a very important time. But we have our first match on the card, which is the Raw Tag Team Championship. It's AJ Styles and Omos, the champs versus the Viking Raiders. I'm very excited that the Viking Raiders are challenging for the titles again. Obviously, one of them was out with an injury for an extended period of time, so they hadn't been wrestling. So it's good to see that now that they're back in. It only took maybe like a couple months for them to get back into the title scene to be challenging. I personally don't think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a hell of a match. Be interested to see how they utilize Omos. He didn't do a whole lot in his one-on-one match this past Monday, but if there's anybody that could make him look good, it's a couple big guys that move like small guys. So I think the Raiders are going to be putting on their working boots for this one and doing their best to make them look good along with AJ. But I think ultimately the champs retain. What about you?
I agree. I think the match will be great, but I do see AJ Styles and Omos retaining, and that's what I want too, because I really want to see AJ Styles and Omos feud with RK Bro. I think that would be gold. It would be hilarious, and the match would be amazing. So that's what I'm leaning towards, probably for SummerSlam or something. So yeah, I got AJ Styles and Omos retaining for sure.
Definitely, yeah. And of course, I would love to see the Raiders win the titles. But like you said, I think RK Bro is the next team to hold it. Their whole storyline, everything that Matt Riddle's doing right now, especially without Randy being on TV, has just been probably the most entertaining thing on the show for me.
Yeah,
Anytime Matt Riddle,
probably.
Yeah, anytime Matt Riddle is interacting with anybody or just by himself, it's always entertaining, and he's so good in the ring. I think his in-ring work, like this whole summer, has been
He's amazing, dude.
On a different level than I've ever seen.
He's such a standout talent. I love Matt Riddle, one of my favorites. In the ring, he's phenomenal, and then also just backstage, he always over delivers with his comedy and always makes me laugh when he doesn't even need to. All he needs to do is, all I need to hear that guy say is, "Hey, Randy," and I'll be dying laughing. But he always does even more. You can tell he loves what he's doing. You can tell he's putting effort in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that it doesn't seem like he's trying. He seems very relaxed and just like himself.
Yeah.
I don't believe for a second he's really playing a character.
No, I don't think
maybe a little bit more exaggerated than he really is in real life.
Oh, of course. Everybody's turning themselves up a bit, turning the notch up a bit.
Yeah. But for the most part, this is 100% like the real.
Oh, that's who he is, man. That's who he is.
And it's always cool to know that, like, similar to like the reason why I like Shayna Baszler, Lashley, even Lesnar, those guys. This guy's a legitimate fighter, and he could actually, I can believe that he could do, those final flash knees and knock someone's lights out. So it's like, I think that's always a great thing for his character.
Absolutely.
Moving on, we have the Raw Women's Championship. This one, they're running it back from Hell in a Cell. It's the champion Rhea Ripley taking on Charlotte Flair. I'm actually more excited for it this time than I was last month. I'm not sure why, because I don't think necessarily the material they've been given, what they've been doing on Raw has been like earth-shattering necessarily. But for some reason, I feel like this match is going to be better than last time. And I think it's going to lead to, hopefully, if Becky Lynch returns or whoever, I think the ending of this match is going to be probably the most important part, like the fallout of what it is. But I think that Ripley retains again.
They're both extremely, extremely talented. So there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to have a phenomenal match. I got Rhea Ripley retaining. I think that's the right thing to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte won. But we've seen this match quite a few times, but I know these two have what it takes to make it amazing, like they always do. Charlotte Flair, a lot of people who follow me or a lot of people who know me know I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Charlotte Flair, but I will always admit she is one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. Yes. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of the greatest in the ring, one of the most talented. You cannot deny that fact. She is incredible. So even though I'm not necessarily a fan, I know she'll bring it out. And Rhea Ripley, I'm a fan of. I already know she's going to bring it out. So, yeah, great match going to happen. But I got Rhea Ripley retaining.
Next, we have the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And this one is interesting. There's a lot of, I think all the participants that are in this match were all the right picks, right? So, and if I miss one, let me know. But I know on the Raw side, we have Ricochet, we have John Morrison, we have Drew McIntyre, and then who am I missing?
John Morrison, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet. There's definitely one more.
I need to look at the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, Riddle, of course.
Riddle. Yeah.
Riddle, and then we have Kevin Owens, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. Very interesting lineup. All these guys are built for a ladder match. Even Drew, because we've seen him in a ladder match before. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever seen Nakamura in one, but I assume
he was 28 His first year that he was on the main roster,
Okay.
he was in
Okay.
Money in the
Yeah.
Bank.
That would make sense. But I'm excited for guys like Morrison, Ricochet, Riddle, KO. We've seen Big E even in ladder matches, and he has a bit of a high flying aspect to his game sometimes. And of course, Rollins, who can, he's a Swiss Army knife basically. He can do anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. CrossFit Jesus.
Definitely, yeah. So I've seen the majority of people believe that Big E is going to win, and then assuming that, let's say, Lashley beats Kofi, he reunites with New Day on Raw and challenges Lashley. I'm inclined to believe that one, so I think I'm gonna go with Big E, but my heart wants somebody like Ricochet to win for sure.
Yeah.
My safe pick is Big E. What do you think?
The Big E thing sounds interesting, and for me, when it comes to Big E, it all boils down to one question: is Brock Lesnar coming back to fight Bobby Lashley? If Brock Lesnar is coming back to fight Bobby Lashley, then I don't want Big E to win. But if not, I think Big E winning would be very entertaining to challenge Bobby Lashley for the title. But I think my safe pick is going to be Matt Riddle. I could see Matt Riddle winning it. But you gave your heart pick how by your heart you'd like to see Ricochet win. My heart wants John Morrison to win. Because I think this man has really deserved to be a world champion in the WWE for a long time. And I think it'd be a perfect way. Morrison wins Money in the Bank. Miz turns heel on him. We can get these guys more serious and feuding each other because their comedy stuff is entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but serious Miz and serious John Morrison, you can't beat that. You cannot beat it. So
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, like you said, that's someone who has paid his dues. He's, second stint with the company, and he's been phenomenal his whole career. I really liked his Lucha Underground stuff as Johnny Mundo.
Yeah.
And I didn't even watch Lucha Underground that much either.
Yeah.
But the stuff I did see, he was all over it, and I really
He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the second run, there's a lot on the table that they haven't utilized in terms of his skill set, his character, stuff that he can do. He's held the tag team championships, but I would love to see him get a singles title run, regardless of the title, even if it's like a U.S. title run. I would love to see him holding some individual gold.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think a lot of these guys have a chance to win, or it would at least be a decent story. The only one I wouldn't be too keen on is Drew, just because it'll kind of bring us back to where we just were.
Yeah.
Not that I don't.
The only way I'd be cool with it is if he went to SmackDown.
Yeah,
then it'd be a little bit more interesting. Yeah.
Because I have thought about this too. With the draft coming up, Roman's going to need some new title contenders, and I remember it was Survivor Series last year where they had their match, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing Drew chasing Roman for the title on SmackDown. I think that would actually be a pretty good thing, maybe for the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And if he's been out of the title picture for quite a while by then, Drew beating Roman, I wouldn't be opposed to it, to be honest.
You never know. Definitely, yeah. They got to do it the right way, but yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So next we have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and I believe there's still one competitor left to be named because I'm looking at the picture here and only has 7 people in it. But from Raw, we have Nikki Cross or Nikki Ash. We have Alexa Bliss. We have Naomi, and we have Asuka. And then in the SmackDown side, we have the returning Zelina Vega, which I'm very happy that she's there. We have Liv Morgan, and we have Natalya, who I think was announced, if not on SmackDown, it was on social media, I think. But there still is one extra spot, and I've seen speculation that Sonya is going to put herself in the match. I've seen, Becky Lynch comes in, Sasha comes
always going to be the Becky Lynch speculation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ever since, even before, basically after she got pregnant, everyone was like, all right, when's Becky coming back? And it's she hasn't even had her kid yet. So,
yeah.
the moment she had her kid, everyone thought, oh, Rumble time, she's coming. She just gave birth 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Come
But I mean, Becky is coming back at some point. You know, we do know that she's been training. I'm not sure if she goes into the Money in the Bank just because it's technically a SmackDown slot that needs to be filled. So I think the Sonya thing would be a good shout if she's able to, if she's cleared and, all of her legal stuff is done and she's ready to return. I think that would be great. And it would be a good storyline with her and Liv in the same match. Maybe Sonya costs Liv. We'll see. But if Bayley's not injured, I guess it wouldn't make sense necessarily that she would duck Bianca and then want to be in the
Yeah,
ladder.
I don't know.
Like, that wouldn't make any sense. But I mean, who knows? If she's not injured, I don't know. They might find some wacky way to do it. Or we could even get a call up. I know they've teased Toni Storm already going to SmackDown. I don't know what Mia Yim's doing, but I know she's on the main roster somewhere. Not sure what brand necessarily.
Yeah, I heard.
But I would love to see. I can't wait to see. Like, hopefully Mia Yim at some point comes back. I would love to see her wrestle.
I hope so too. She's amazing.
But realistically, I think if it's Sonya, I think she should win the ladder match. If Sonya's not in the match, I think Liv should win the match.
I agree. I think it should be Liv. I'm predicting Alexa Bliss, but I think it should be Liv Morgan. Alexa Bliss is great, but I'd like to see old heel Alexa Bliss come back.
Right.
Like I think that's where she's at her best. I think she's done great with her current Alexa's Playground whole gimmick, but it's just not the same without Bray Wyatt. So I'm hoping for Liv Morgan, but I'll predict Alexa.
Nice. Yeah, I think what they've been doing with Liv has been very easy formula of her wanting to earn it, her wanting to compete, and then actually winning matches. I think that's one of the most basic and easy ways to, get a baby face over. And I think it's actually done very well.
I agree.
It already helps that a lot of people like her and they see her get pushed, right? But this even, makes it even better, especially within the storyline. So I think Liv Morgan winning Money in the Bank, maybe, and again, that's the cool thing about the Money in the Bank. And I guess since the draft is happening, whoever wins it could flip over to the other brand and it would make sense. They could technically do the NXT thing like what Charlotte did. I don't necessarily see that happening this year. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting route if they go with Liv.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so we have our last two matches, which are the big championship matches. The first one is the WWE Championship. The champ, Bobby Lashley, taking on Kofi Kingston. I love the New Day. They're probably my favorite trio, tag team, whatever you want to call it, of all time, ever since the beginning. And getting to see Kofi get another run, or at least another chance to challenge for the title, I think is good. It has been a while. It's been over a year, I think, since he lost that. Yeah, definitely over a year since he lost that title. About a year and almost 2 years, actually.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think it had been enough time to where he was doing his own thing with Xavier, and now they've brought him back into the picture. All of his interactions with MVP have been great, either like in the ring or backstage. I think that's great. And that what they did at the end of Raw this past Monday got me even more excited for this.
Right? I think that was the most intriguing part of Lashley's reign so far.
Yes.
Because that promo was amazing.
Definitely, yeah. And, when Woods beat him earlier in the night, I was like, oh, man. I was like, Bobby's about to, defend his title and he's losing. I was like, I'm not, I wasn't very happy about that. But the match was really good, and it's cool to see Xavier Woods win. But then to see the payoff of it, I was like, all right, at least this loss.
This loss is what's making him take it more seriously now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. This whole feud has been great because Kofi's promo with MVP a couple weeks ago is phenomenal as well. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's some of the best work that WWE has allowed Lashley to do on the mic. because, I've watched him in interviews and stuff. He's a very outgoing guy, expresses himself very well, speaks very well. And so I always knew that, he could be capable of these types of promos. It's just, a matter of him being allowed to do that himself. But I do think that makes the most sense for Lashley to retain, even though I love Kofi. I love the New Day. It'll be very interesting. But I think Lashley retaining, and regardless of if it's Big E winning Money in the Bank and challenging him, if it's Lesnar or if it's Cena, like you mentioned earlier, I think Lashley holding the title and getting this victory could actually make his title reign kind of turn the corner. Like you said, it hasn't been necessarily as great as Roman's, but it has been pretty solid. And I think this kind of solidifies this as like a big time test, and him overcoming that, I think that would be really good for him. But yeah, I think Lashley retains. What about you?
I couldn't agree more. I think Bobby Lashley dominates Kofi Kingston, to be honest. With the way he sounded this past Monday, I see it being a train wreck for Kofi. And I'm a big Kofi Kingston fan. Kofi Mania was amazing. I loved it. But Money in the Bank's not going to be an easy night. No way.
Sometimes it's just got to be that way,
Yeah.
Kofi's not going to lose anything, from even getting dominated by Lashley.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be, bulletproof basically. And I think Lashley really needs this type of victory. Because I think if you look back on it right now, it's just been a lot of Lashley and Drew. And again, that hasn't been a bad thing. But
no, their matches are great, but it's like not much variety so far.
Exactly, yeah. It was kind of like when Jinder had the title and it was just constantly him and Randy Orton. It's like, they were doing good things, but then it was like, all right, this is the third pay-per-view.
And I am actually like, I enjoy Jinder's reign a lot.
Of course.
I will say that. I thought he was great. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean. It is similar.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then to our last match, which I would assume is the main event, because anytime Roman's on a show, he's most likely the main event. We do have the Universal Championship. The champ, head of the table, tribal chief, Roman Reigns versus Edge. And I know that you're very excited. When Edge first came back again to attack Roman, all I could think about was like, yeah, Vikram's definitely going crazy.
Oh, dude. So hyped, man! Thank God he's back, and I'll take the court here because a lot of people know if you don't know, I'm a huge Edge mark. Then I don't know what to tell you. John Cena and Edge are my two favorites of all time, so I'm very high on both of them. And the thing with Edge is that when it comes to my favorites, my really really big favorites, even if I know the prediction I'm about to make is most definitely wrong, I don't bet against my favorites. I know the odds are stacked against. Yeah, loyalty. I know the odds are stacked against him. I know. I refuse to do it. So I'm predicting Edge to beat Roman Reigns. That's what I want. That's what I'm going to predict. And I don't care what anybody has to say about it because it's going to happen. New Universal Champion.
You never know, too. You never know.
It's true.
There's
ways to do it, dude. There's ways to do it. Like they could have they could have Seth Rollins or Jey Uso or someone try to get involved, but somehow screws Roman over. Like they accidentally cost Roman the match. Like there's so many ways of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it could work just because, Edge is beloved. It's not like there's somebody that they don't like, that the crowd wouldn't like.
It's not impossible. And you could think like maybe first pay-per-view back in front of a full capacity crowd, Edge has his moment and wins the title. Like, and I know people think like, oh, this is going to hurt Roman's momentum. They said this to me when I wanted Edge to win at WrestleMania too. I'm like, no, if anything, this is going to add more edge to his character because now he feels the need to prove he's the tribal chief. Yeah. He lost the title, which he needs for his family, and he can go fucking insane trying to get it back.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's so many ways of doing it. What I pitched for Edge originally beating him at WrestleMania was he's underestimating Edge going into the match. He gets bested by the veteran that he underestimated. And we don't see Roman for like 2 solid months. And Edge feuds Daniel Bryan one-on-one for the title because their chemistry going into Mania was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So after Edge does that, Roman comes back. He's going insane to get the belt back. Since Edge is a part-timer, the way you write him off TV, you have Roman versus Edge, and Roman kayfabe breaks Edge's neck to win the belt back.
Gosh.
Could you imagine? And people are like,
God.
that's gonna hurt his momentum. No. Could you imagine if they did it that way? How insane that would have been.
I do agree at some point I think Roman does need to lose the belt because that could actually be better for him at some point from a character standpoint. Like you said. Like there is, I think there are still levels of aggression and attitude that can be
like unlocked. He's amazing right now, but there's always another level.
Exactly. Yeah.
No matter where you are, there's always
that's level. Where losing does matter. Does matter the most. Like everyone. I think everyone at some point should be angry when they lose a match, especially if it's a big like what was it yesterday at NXT? Like Bronson Reed came out and he was like, I lost the title. And he didn't really seem like too bothered by it. And, it is what it is. But I think the only problem I have is that is like you were just a champion, now you're not. And you kind of like don't necessarily, it seemed like he didn't care. He kind of just brushed it off. And I think especially if you lose a title, you should go crazy. I mean, that's what happened when Tommaso Ciampa lost his title and then came back. Like you
should have won it back. Like,
yeah. And so I think for somebody like Roman, if he loses the Universal title, especially, I think the longer his reign and then losing it would be the better. But, even if
the way they could do it even is the Usos are like, they're butting heads a little bit right now. Like the Usos could try to help him cheat to win. And then they cost him the match by accident. And then maybe Edge defends the title against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, and we get Roman and the Usos in a triple threat. And then at the next pay-per-view, Roman goes crazy and gets the belt back from Edge. There's so many ways you can do it.
And it's.
I just think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it's not like Edge's reign needs to be super long. It's like we're not asking for a year-long reign. But yeah, definitely.
No, dude, he could lose it. He could lose it the next pay-per-view. He relinquished his title when he retired.
Exactly.
Just let him win it back. I know what people are saying. That was the World Heavyweight Championship, not the Universal. They're both world titles. Yeah, they're both world championships.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I do kind of speculate, like, if not now, like when could he win the title?
And who? Like, who's going to beat Roman? If it's not like I think WrestleMania would have been the perfect time because there's also 10 years to the day Edge lost, and people are like, oh, like it's a credible person to lose to. You're losing to Edge, who just won the Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot.
Yeah,
and you're underestimating him. You're gonna go crazy and win it back. That's not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, and then go on another year-long reign. Yeah, I think. You're subtly convincing me here.
I'm just saying. I can be convincing when it comes to Edge, man.
For my official prediction, I don't mean to go against you, but I will go with Roman just because if the reports are true about Roman Cena, then it just has to be that way, I guess.
That's gonna go that way.
But
I told you I'm just as crazy about Cena as I am of Edge, so I'll be this way going into SummerSlam.
Exactly. But you have convinced me that Edge winning the title could actually be even better outcome, especially for Roman's character, which I'm all for.
It would. Absolutely would. Yeah.
Definitely all for. So that's all the matches. Shorter card than it was last time. So we kind of breezed through this. But what match are you most excited for as we wrap up this prediction show?
Definitely Edge versus Roman Reigns. Either that or the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I think Money in the Bank ladder matches are always very entertaining. I would say the women's one, but I feel like I just feel like I'm really dead set on Alexa Bliss winning that as my prediction. Whereas for the men's Money in the Bank, I think there's a little bit more unpredictability there.
I agree.
But for as an Edge mark, if like my final answer would be Edge versus Roman for sure.
Okay, awesome. And we were talking about this before the recording, but there is a possibility maybe they add another match. Who knows? Especially because I think this Friday's SmackDown is going to be a bit unpredictable. So who knows what will happen? We talked about possibly Bianca somehow having to defend the title on the show. How do you think that will play out with Bianca and Carmella on Friday?
I think Carmella loses clean and then Bayley attacks Bianca. I think Bayley's injuries will work. And I think if it is, that's, first of all, happy she's not injured if it's a work. And second of all, genius of her, because the way they presented it was like it's completely legit. So
yeah.
But yeah, I have a feeling she's gonna attack her after and be like, psych, the I Quit match will happen this Sunday. So
yeah. And I think that would make sense with the mind game stuff, and then her wanting, Bianca to have a match, a couple days before their match while Bayley's been wrestling like that. That would actually be a really smart thing to do. And then if Bianca retains, it makes her more resilient than before. And then play Sasha's music, right? Like let her come out and challenge her for SummerSlam. That would be great. Is there anything else that you think I'm trying to think is any other possible matches that could get added? And
I don't think anything else will be added.
Okay. But yeah, if it were to be like a potential Bayley Bianca, do you think Bayley wins or do you think Bianca retains?
Bianca retains. I think they're setting up for Sasha versus Bianca too, because their WrestleMania match was historical. First of all, 2 black women closing night 1 of WrestleMania. It's crazy. But also the match was amazing. Yes. But I will say, going into the show, I think the feud could have been booked a little bit better. I think that's where the rematch at SummerSlam, we already know they can make magic in the ring. We can focus on the build. So
let's not have them challenge for the tag titles, please. I don't like that.
The only way I would have been okay with that is if they won them, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
It would have been interesting going into Mania. It would have been like Shawn Michaels and John Cena.
Exactly.
I liked that. that.
That would have been fine. But the fact that they lost and
then you're kind of like, what's the point,
Yeah, I think just let them have promos. Maybe Sasha gets a win or two since she's been off for a while. Let her dominate somebody. Let Bianca be badass. And then let's just see these two, forces collide once again without any of the weird, hokey stuff. Like we already did that. Let's not do that again.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, like I said earlier, we did have some call-ups. We saw Shotzi Blackheart. We saw Tegan Nox. There's a tease for Toni Storm. We are to assume that there's other people on the way. I know Bronson Reed his name has been thrown around a lot. He just dropped the North American title. For a while, I thought Karrion Kross would be, but then he retained yesterday. So now I'm a little confused, but I think, he's still going up at some point. I mean, they wouldn't have brought him up there for no reason, him and Scarlett. How are you feeling about, some of the fresh faces that we're going to see on Raw and SmackDown?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. In a dream world, Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole would come up, but I know they're very dead set on staying in NXT. So I'm going to support their decision there because NXT is a great brand, so I don't blame them at all. But I would love to see Tommaso Ciampa versus Randy Orton. But who I do see coming up, I see Bronson Reed coming up, and I'm a big fan of his in-ring work. I think he's a really good big man, so I'll be happy to see that. Who else do I think is going to be coming up? I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but I'm a huge Kyle O'Reilly fan, and I think him coming up would be amazing. But I understand why they won't yet, because his feud with Adam Cole is amazing, and they're 1-1 now. We got to see who's going to win that trilogy. So, I'm really excited to see who they got planned to come up. I think Io Shirai is a huge one that would be amazing for the women's roster. So I'm really excited to see what they have planned.
Definitely, yeah. I'd love to see either Io and Bianca or Io and Rhea. And then, of course, anybody else. Mainly because they had history in NXT, but like, Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, all of them. Let Io fight everybody. Like
Yeah,
every single person. That would
absolutely.
be cool. I don't know what their plans are for Kushida. I know he's going to be in that feud with Roderick Strong, but I think at some point, Kushida coming up would also be a really that's another guy. Literally, let him fight anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'll be handled well or not, but if he all they got to do is just let him say, hey, here's 10-15 minutes, go make some magic, go wrestle Chad Gable, or
Chad Gable's
guys
amazing.
like that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Or Gulak, do a one-off there, like just guys like that would be really fun. Mustafa Ali, Mansoor, like all like literally let him fight
There's so
every
many great
single
matches.
person.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with the people that are already up there. I think they've definitely beefed up the SmackDown women's roster. Hopefully they can add a couple names to Raw. I think Io would fit well on Raw now, since they added 3 names plus Sasha probably coming back. If you get Io and Becky on Raw, then that basically balances things again. So I think that would be really cool, and I'm excited to see what happens within the next week or so. We've got the first big shows in front of fans for WWE. I hope for their sake that they deliver on the hype and they can meet some expectations. And I think it's going to be a really fun weekend with Money in the Bank. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it live since I'll be on vacation, but I'm going to catch up on it whenever I can. But yeah, do you have any final words, things you want to plug before we end this one?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you everybody for watching. Second of all, my name is Vikram Prashar. For those of you who don't know, pro wrestler in training and also host of Wrestling with Awareness, a podcast about pro wrestling and mental health. I've been joined by people like Rob Van Dam, Ken Shamrock, Larry Zbyszko, the list goes on and on. Aiden English, Darren Young, Tyson Kidd, so many people. Go check those out. Those interviews are amazing. On my YouTube channel, it's just Vikram Prashar now. It used to be the VP show, so check that out. My Instagram handle and Twitter handle are both Prashar Official now. I've changed a couple of my handles, so PRASHAROFFICIAL. Hopefully I spelled official right. I can be stupid sometimes. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for having me on once again. It's always a pleasure.
Definitely, yeah. And hey, if you want to keep doing this, I'm so down. I love doing these prediction shows. I've been trying to do them a lot more recently. And if you're new to our show, you're maybe a friend or a follower of Vikram, go give us a subscribe to the Large Guys podcast on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter, Instagram. We're still in our humble beginnings. We're trying to we have like this little like milestone of like 100 subscribers that we're trying to get to. And I think we're at 97 right now. We've been at 97. We've been stuck there for a while now, a month or two. But
let's get them there, guys.
Yeah,
let's
please
get
come
them
on,
there.
please. 3 people. And we said, if you got to make a fake account and follow us, or if you want to subscribe and never listen to us, we really just want the subscription. Come on now. But if once we get to 100, I have 3 co-hosts, and one of our co-hosts, my friend Kyle, he is a big UFC fan, and he wants to put one of our other co-hosts in a triangle choke, and we're gonna. It'll be staged. It'll be very pro wrestling, definitely. But we want to, as a kind of a reward and a milestone for hitting 100 subscribers, we want to record that and post that to social media, just for entertainment. Why not? And it's
why
really,
not? Yeah.
If you don't know those guys, Kyle is a much smaller guy than our other co-host Pau, who's a much bigger guy. So just the visual of seeing, like a cruiserweight putting a heavyweight, basically.
That'd be funny.
In a triangle choke and putting him to sleep, would just be really fun. So please help us out there if you can. We got a lot of different content, trying to do more of this type of stuff. We do UFC coverage as well, cover all different types of sports. We talk about food because we love food. So yeah, just be on the lookout. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.